just want you showed up about something like that. I went live, had some technical difficulties. I was using my iPad, and I think I had the volume down, didn't realize it. So some of you could. I am calling, checking in on you all from North Carolina, right? So I'm not home, New York City, down here with family, right? But I'll get into any specifics. And we had an emergency situation, so had to come down, right? So I'm here for another week or so, something like that, right? We don't want to get too specific, but I will say that, yeah, glad to be down there with family, and we gotta, in times like this, you really gotta pull together. What I want to talk about though is why, the real reason why you're not saving, right? And it has nothing to do with whether or not you're broke. It has nothing to do with whether or not you make a little bit of money, a lot of money, doesn't matter. As many of you have heard me say, for some of you who's first time checking in, I want to shout y'all out. Thank y'all for taking the time out with me. I really do appreciate it, right? Everybody who's on the call. Time is the most precious asset we have. So I just want to say that out front. But when it comes to, saving, it's not about income, right? It's not about, how much money you make, anything like that. It is about mindset, right? Let me try to get out the sun. The real reason why you're struggling and feel broke or are broke is not merely because you don't make enough money. It's because you don't have the right mindset. And I'm not trying to badge you, anything like that. This is just the hard truth. If you want your financial situation to change, for more money to come in, for more money to work for you instead of working for it, you have to change your mindset. You have to, in some ways, reinvent yourself, right? We all have to start somewhere. You have to reinvent yourself. And instead of tell yourself that you're bad with spending, right? I hear that a lot. I'm bad with spending. When it comes to spending, I'm bad. The bad thing is that you tell yourself that, right? Because when we tell ourselves that we are bad spenders, it gets reinforced in our psyche, in our way of operating and way of being, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Meaning, if you say you bad with spending, then you will be bad with spending, right? Because that's what people who are bad with spending do. They spend badly. And I'm saying it in jest, but the truth is that what I'm really getting at is that just as we can say, or you can say that you're bad with spending, you can say that you're becoming a saver, that you are a saver. That's even better, right? And you might say, well, that's lying to myself. I'm actually not a saver. I'm a terrible saver. That's when you hear yourself talk like that, that's when you want to stop yourself and say, wait a minute, that's not me anymore. That's an old version of me, right? Real talk. That's an old version of me. I am a saver. I save. I save. I save. I save. In the same way that you say you're bad with spending, I save. And in doing so, your behavior will reinforce what you have programmed in your mind, that you're better with spending, that you're a good spender, saver. Let me take that back. That you're a good saver, that you save. Because when you tell yourself that, it's going to manifest in the way you hold yourself. You're going to begin to save. You can start with $1, with $5. The dollar amount doesn't amount. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you do the thing. That's most important. Whether you save $10 or $100, you saved, right? I mean, yeah, okay, you saved more if 10 times more. If you save $100 versus 10, but either way, you save. If you don't save, it doesn't matter if you don't save anything at all. Then it doesn't matter it doesn't matter, meaning that because you didn't save 10 or $100 or anything in between, right? So the point is to begin to change the narrative, right? The story you tell yourself about spending. You're no longer a spender as of today, right? Can you hear me? Let me make sure I can see you, right? Okay, that's what's up. What do you think? All right, we're gonna get some of these things. I got my shades on because it's bright as hell. I'm in North Carolina, real bright and hot down there. Uh, Say where I'm from. Okay, I'm from New York City. I am from New York City. I'm originally from Brooklyn. We're gonna get back on the topic. I'm originally from Brooklyn, but I live in Manhattan. I'm from the city. Where are you from? Right? Right? Because what we talking about is mindset, right? We talking about making our money work for ourselves. So that's where I'm really from. I'm from a wealth mindset. Doesn't matter where I'm at, where I'm from, physically on the earth, it's where my head is at, right? We can be anywhere, uh, and it doesn't matter if you got a poor mindset in Arizona. You can take wherever you go. They say there you are, right? So at the end of the day, it's not about where we're from, where we're at. I appreciate the question. My only point is that it's about where we at mentally. That's what we're talking about here. That's what we're talking about here, right? Again, it's your boy Joe, the Wealth Architect. I am in North Carolina for Family Matter, Emergency Family Matter, from New York City, yes, from Brooklyn. Wife and I live in Manhattan. And, we travel a lot. I love to travel. But down there for a family situation. And let me just tie it into what we're talking about here, because we're talking about, it's not about how much money you make or the fact that you, in terms of your struggle, a lot of people struggles with saving because they spend, as if it's like there ain't gonna be a tomorrow, right? We do it on different levels and different ways, and we're talking about how it's really not so much about how much money you make. It's not about income. It is about mindset. It's about how you think about money. But I'm gonna go even deeper. We're gonna get deep. Earlier I went live, and we had a little issue with the sound. So I feel like I owe it to you all to come back, right? I'm using my phone now. Earlier I used my iPad, but I'm using my phone now. So we're going to go deep. It's about mindset, but it's deeper than mindset when it comes to investing, money, saving, all this stuff, right? It is about identity. Some of you have heard me say that before. It's about identity. Let me see if we got a question here. Pharmacy, still a good business. I'll be starting pharmacy school in 3 months. All right. Okay, cool. It said muted. Okay, cool. So, pharmacy, generally speaking, I'm not, this is not we're not talking about investing per se today. But sure, pharmacy companies, the pharmacy industry, the interesting thing is this. I'm going to ask you a question, then we're going to get on to some of the other stuff, right? This is my personal feeling, right? When it comes to investing, now we're talking about saving today, but I want to answer your question. When it comes to investing, right? In your case, I'm going to say this. When it comes to, in your case, when it comes to investing, because you are in pharmaceutical school, right? Say you're in pharmaceutical school, 3 months that you'll be starting, right? So you learn about pharmaceuticals. Is it good to invest in, pharmaceutical stocks? I don't think it's a yes or no answer. I'll just say this. I don't like the fact that a lot of pharmaceutical companies, the larger pharmaceutical companies, are raking people over the coal. That's how I would feel. What do I mean by that? Meaning they're charging these exorbitant fees, these high fees for some medications that should be just given away free to keep people living more. They shouldn't have to pay insurance and all this other stuff like that and all these high rates for drugs. That's how I personally feel, right? The flip side of it is this. A lot of these larger companies, because they're making all this money, they make quote unquote good investments. They make money. So, the Eli Lillys and all these other, large companies, right? I'm not singling them out, but all the main companies. And as you got the insurers, you have the pharmaceutical, they all work together. The doctors, it's a big, it's a big mess, man. And they're just raking people over the coal with all these high fees and stuff. So that's how I feel, like I said. So it's two sides of the coin. So is it a good thing? Yeah, it depends on how you want to look at it, right? That's the real answer, right? If you want to focus on profit, a lot of these pharmaceutical companies, just like energy companies, oil, gas, they're making lots of money right now as well, right? Now we have to decide whether or not we feel comfortable investing in, let's say, certain oil companies, right? Gas companies, given that we're in the middle of a war. That's a moral question. It's not a financial. It's not just a financial question. It's the same thing, I believe. Not exactly. It's not the moral equivalent, but it's very similar to your question, or my response to your question about whether or not investing in pharmaceutical companies is a good idea, right? There's more than one side, of the coin, right? So one side is that yes, you can make a lot of profit. Then the other side is at what expense, right? Who's, in this case, who's at a disadvantage, right? It's not the investor. It's going to be the person who needs the drugs, right? That's the reality. So hopefully I explained it in a way that made this humane, right? Brought it in, not just humane, but meaning wanted to bring it in human terms, right? And not just look at it from a purely economic perspective. Because when it comes to business, we have to look at the fact that businesses are about people at the end of the day, right? Every business has its own mission or reason for being, but at the end of the day, if you don't have employees, if you don't have customers, if you don't have customers, then you don't have a business, right? So let's not forget that businesses ultimately is about people, right? So just keep that in mind. So anyway, hopefully I answered your question. Now back to our point, right? Didn't want to get off track too much, but I really wanted to answer that question. I appreciate you asking it. It gives other people an opportunity to learn about my thinking and about how to think about investing, right? In particular, right? I use the oil industry, right? Or energy industry and the pharmaceutical. Two different industries. The principle stays the same. It's applicable across the board, right? So again, it's not about money or income. And when it comes to saving, at the end of the day, or spending and saving, it is about your mindset. And I mentioned that it's about your identity. What do I mean by identity? If you see, as I said earlier, if you see yourself and you say to yourself, you say to others, I'm so terrible with spending, right? I can't save, man. I need to save, but I can't save. And you keep telling yourself that. It's very bright out here. Sorry about that. Let's see if we can. I'm just going to walk right into the sun. Sorry about that. Can't control the sun, but I'll get into some shade in a minute. So, whatever you tell yourself, your subconscious mind cannot distinguish between truth and fact. So, I'm not saying that you should lie to yourself. I'm saying you should tell yourself things that affirm you, that lift you up, right? and then become, and then you grow into that. You become what you think. We are what we think. If you see yourself as a spender, and that's all you see yourself as, primarily when it comes to money, right? You don't see yourself as a saver, you don't see yourself as an investor, then guess what? You will continue to be a spender, right? Now, we all have to spend, but some of us save and some of us invest. And that's not because, somebody's necessarily forced to do so or whatever case might be. Meaning that at some point in everyone's life, including my own, I went from being a spender to a saver to an investor. Everybody pretty much goes through that process, right? Unless, well, some people don't go all the way to saving and investing, but my point is anybody who does invest doesn't go from just spending to investing. They go from spending to saving to investing, right? Some people who spend, they also save, right? But my point is each of those have different mindsets. Each of those kind of avatars, so to speak. Are you a spender, for example? Are you mostly a saver, meaning you spend but you save, right? Pretty consistently. Or you are investor. Maybe you save, invest, spend, save, and invest like I do, right? So I do all three, and that's where you want to be. My point is, if you ask me, I identify as an investor. That's what I tell myself. I'm an investor, right? I invest in ideas. I invest in myself. I invest in education. I invest in businesses through the stock market, real estate. I'm an investor, right? And because I'm an investor, I conduct myself a certain way, meaning that I will not spend like crazy because that's not what investors do. Investors make their money work for them. They don't just, you spend money, right? But you spend money that has made money and made more money and made more money. You take money off the top, so to speak, as opposed to while you're at the bottom, right? That's the whole thing, right? Sorry about the lighting. We're gonna see I'm gonna go over here because I want you all to struggle. But keep that in mind that, let's get some shade. Okay, this is much better, much, much better. All right, I'll stay right here. All right, so keep that in mind that at the end of the day, it is about how you think and it's how you identify, right? And that, we're not born, I don't believe we are born with a certain mindset or identity, especially when it comes to money. Money, is man-made, so you can't be born with it, right? So that means we had to get it from somewhere. We internalize stuff that's external to us, right? So now we have to flip it and drown out the noise that we get from, the news, that we get from your best friend, or somebody on the job, a coworker, stuff like that. You got to drown that stuff out and basically zero in on self-education first, right? And even before you get there, is to do self-inventory, right? So before you can get an education, right, to reduce or to draw out what's already in you, before you even get there, is to do some real introspection, to really think about your values, right? What's important to you? Seriously, what are some of the things, not just who, but is travel important to you? Is health? Is exercise? Is friendship? Think about the things that really make you happy. I am serious. I couldn't be more serious. Think about the things that make you happy, that make you feel good, that make you feel whole. It could be one thing. Sometimes it's several things, but it could be at least one thing that does that. So just keep that thought in mind, right? About what you value. Quality time with loved ones, with your grandchildren, whatever the case may be. Because if you think about it, the reason why I say that is because the way we live our lives and is a big reflection on our values, right? But sometimes there's a disconnect between what we say we value and the way our behavior manifests. So we say we value more time with family, we say we like to travel, we like whatever it may be, we have ideas about what we value, right? Or what we believe we value. And what I'm saying is that the part that we leave out is one, sometimes we don't think about how we derive that, right? Or develop the values that we have. But then another thing, all right, double dipping, okay? He said double. So, another thing is that we don't, like I said, we don't give it enough thought to what we value. That's number one. And because we don't do that, we don't live our lives in a way that would allow us to live out what we value. Because we don't think about it a lot. That's the key thing. It's not that we don't value, but we don't spend enough time on it. Instead, we're on social. Some of us on social media. We hanging out. We doing everything else except thinking about what's most important to us, what's really important to us. Not the job, the this, and not saying anything about the job, so like that. But it's usually something outside of job, a job, right? Outside of work. And so think about those things that are really, really important to you, that you really value. And now from there, think about money. Think about how to better spend your money, right? How to better save your money, and how to better invest your money. SSI method. How to do those three things. We started mostly we talking about savings today, but my point is, you need to be in all three. It's three buckets, right? It's one blueprint, one financial blueprint, but there's three different branches. Think of it like that, or pillars, or whatever you want to call it, right? And you want to get better in all three. I want to get better in all three, right? Always, right? This is lifestyle. This is not just, we're doing this for today. This is lifestyle, and it's a lifestyle and mindset and way of being that we want to really embody, but also to pass on. This is about passing things on. I saw my grandson yesterday. It was good seeing him. We had to have, hard talk. He's 16 and feeling himself. I'll just say that. Yeah, I know what I mean, right? But at the end of the day, I love him. It's my grandson, and, and I'll always be here for him. So my point, though, is that this. You want to be able to spend, for example, more time with your grandchildren, your children, with your spouse, with your family members, colleagues, whatever the case might be. I'm just using that for example. The way to do that is not through spending, just spending, right? So our values need to be able to provide a lifestyle for us, right? That allows us to live the way we want, right? Meaning without hurting anyone else, offering value in some way, but living the way that works for us, meaning as individuals, right? There's no one size fit all. And so it's when you begin to spend differently, it's not spend as much, right? Because especially if you're struggling, again, because we say it's not you're not saving because you are broke, but because you don't have a systems problem. I mean, a system solution, right? Instead, you have an emotional solution. You think it's a solution, or we think it's a solution. We spend because we don't feel good about ourselves. We spend because we're lonely, because we are depressed, or whatever the case might be. A lot of our spending is emotional, right? Because we feel inadequate. We want to, show the world that we are somebody through our clothes, because we're very fashionable. Or we got new sneakers or shoes or whatever the case might be, right? And at the end of the day, what I doubt very much that is tied to a value, right? Meaning that I doubt very much that your value, what you value, is other people's opinion. I doubt that very much, right? Most of the time you be like, oh shit, I don't care about what nobody cares. I mean, what they think or what they say, but you still buy shit to impress other people, right? A lot of people do it all the time, right? So the way we operate is in disaccord, right? Disconnected from, in disaccord from what we say we value. So in order to change that around, let's start thinking about how our spending, savings, and investing reflects our values. If they don't reflect our values, then guess what? We don't change our values, right? If they're good values, you want to keep your values. We want to change the spending habits, which means that, and saving habits and investing habits. That's what we're talking about. So in order to do that, we have to unpack, and we have to relearn, right? How we think about money. We have to re-script what we say to ourselves when it comes to money. That's what I'm talking about, right? So this is as much when it comes to spending, saving, and investing. It's as much a mental and emotional game, and even more, I would say, than money. Money is just a tool. It really is just that. We could be talking about cars, donuts, ice cream. It doesn't matter what it's the relationship we have with an object, with a thing, or whatever the case might be. In this case, it's money. And so, in order for the relationship to change, our thinking has to change, right? The scripts we tell ourselves when it comes to money has to change. That's the name of the game. So, I just wanted to give you out some pointers and on how to really think about spending, saving, and investing, but particularly when it comes to saving, as the title, says, the real reason why you're not saving, and it's not because you're broke, right? The real reason, as you know now, is it's about mindset, your mindset and your identity, how you see yourself. Do you see yourself as a spender, a saver, or an investor, primarily? So put in the chat. I really would like to know, right? And so we could work with you, right? Nobody's asking you for anything. When I say work with you, meaning based on your feedback, I'm creating videos, right? I'm content, free and paid content. In many ways, I work for you, right? Meaning I'm here to serve you, right? I could be doing a whole bunch of stuff, right? I'm down here with my family, very serious situation. That's why I've been out of, commission for a couple of days. Very, very serious situation, right? Down here with my family from New York City, but my heart is into this. I believe in what I do. I believe in your ability to really change your thinking from the inside out, your whole way of being. Like I said, this is a lifestyle, right? Earlier today, for example, I went to the gym. My cousin picked me up, all right? I'm not in New York City, so there's no walking 10, 15 minutes. There's no getting in a car, taxi, Uber, stuff, all that stuff. I got my family's deep down there. And so 7 o'clock, 7:30, my little cousin come pick me up. We going to the gym. Right? So I've been getting it in. That's been very helpful mentally and emotionally as well. I was keeping it real, being transparent, right? Because we got to keep pushing. At the same time, we got to get some rest. So I did take several days off, not intentionally, because I kept saying, "Oh, I got to get back to the peoples, got to talk to the peoples." But when you got to have downtime as well. So I've been taking advantage of downtime, and now we're back in effect. So I'm going to be going live. Now it's obviously late in New York City. I mean Eastern Standard Time, but I plan to go live about noon every day, right, Monday through Friday, and it'll be a lot shorter than this. I'll say that it'll be about 15 minutes because we got some other things. We got SSI Method Unlocked, right? That's live once a week. Right now we have Mondays through, or is it Mondays? I think it's Monday at 3 o'clock, right? So I'll probably still be down here in North Carolina, but I'll set it up. I got my laptop, got my, I'm ready. Got my laptop, got my iPad, so we will be ready to go. So that's Monday, 3 o'clock. We doing SSI Method Unlock, where I walk you through different aspects of the SSI method: spending plan, savings plan, investing plan. This is free knowledge, right? The only thing that I'm asking you to do is show up. Just show up. You're gonna learn. You're gonna be glad that you showed up for you. Because think about this. You're not just showing up for yourself, especially if you have children or you have anybody that depends on you. You are not just showing up for yourself. That's why you all deserve a round of applause. I'm serious, right? Because just like I could be somewhere else, you could be somewhere else. But you're here listening to me, right? And so that means you're serious. That means you're serious, right? You could be doing anything else. So again, you deserve a round of applause, a big ups for that. A lot going on. SSI Method Unlocked. That's, like I said, on Mondays through 3 p.m. That's what we have now, Eastern Standard Time. We have Beyond the Pages. Beyond the Pages is a new playlist on YouTube where I've read over 1,000 books, and I would say probably a good 600-700 of them, but based on money, right? I've read a lot of history, politics, autobiographies, biographies, stuff like that, but primarily about money. And I've been doing this for 31 years now, 1995. So something I'm very, very passionate about, and So my point is that so I will be sharing not just money books, but mindset books, personal finance books, personal development books that I have read over the years. Some of which I have at my house. I have hundreds of books at the house. My wife and I probably close. I don't know, close to I don't know a lot. Maybe not 1,000, but I would say yeah, maybe 600 or something like that, at least, probably books. We have a lot of books. We're both, we're both bibliophiles in that way. We love books. And so my point, though, is I'll be reading an excerpt from some of the ones that have really had a big impact on my life, on my thinking, right? And so I'll be doing that with Beyond the Pages. So if you're a bibliophile like me, or you meaning you love to read, you love books, or you would like to know what types of books have shaped my thinking, have gotten someone like me who did 25 years in prison, uh, and then starting all over, so to speak, from the age 21 to 46, now 56, this be 10 years home, how I turned it around. You'll see the types of books that really had a pivotal played a pivotal role in my life, right? So, and then we have first generation investors. I'm really excited about that because you may be among some of the people who actually go walk with me through the process of being a non-investor to an investor. Right, some people are going to be live, right, in New York City. The first person we did was Brandy. Brandy is out in Houston. Then I did another in New York City, my hometown, with my man Tone, right? I call him Little Tone. He's a good friend of mine's son, right? And I'm going to be going, not live, but I'm going to be doing it with my sister, my cousin, and some of my other family members while I'm down here. I'll be walking them through the process of actually becoming first-time investors, walking them through step by step, the 4 steps they need to that's going to change the trajectory of their lives, right? And so you'll get to witness that as well. And again, I hope that you'll be a part of this journey. The goal is to get 1,000 people. We got a long way to go, but we can get it, right? 1,000 people by the end of the year to become first-time investors with Joe the Wealth Architect, right? And like I said, that's just some of the things we got going on. Check out the website, thinkoutsidetheCell.com. Lots of goodies there, a lot of good stuff. Share with others, subscribe to the channel. And with that, I say peace out. Take it easy. Whoops. Let's see. We still there. All right. Here we go. All right. Y'all take it easy.